This video is going to cover the topic of stem and leaf plots. Be sure the date and topic are at the top of your page. The essential question that should also be on your page is how do we create and use stem and leaf plots? Many of us have never heard or seen a stem and leaf plot, so before we talk about creating and using them, let's make sure we know what they are. So first off, it's a very visual representation of a data set. If you've collected a whole bunch of data, a stem and leaf plot will let you look at it really quickly. In that visual, it lets you see really quickly the shape or distribution of the data. And it's a visual that lets you easily find the mode, median, and range of a data set. Not so much the mean, but the mode, median, and range are fairly easy to find with a stem and leaf plot. It's called a stem and leaf plot because it looks something like this, right? It has a stem with some, like stems of a plant, with some leaves coming out of the right side. And it has, of course, mathematical values, right? So it might have like a 3 over here in the stem part and a 7 on the leaf, and maybe a 4 here and a 1, and you might even have a second leaf here with a different number. Let me just sketch that in here. Maybe there's a 2 here, and maybe there's a 5 on that stem and a 5 on that leaf. So this is where we write the data, and we write it in this kind of formation, stem and leaf. To show you how to take data and turn it into a stem and leaf plot, we're going to use this table of imaginary information of how long it takes 11 of our students to get to school. So go ahead and make sure you have this table of data in your notebook. And I'm going to set up my stem and leaf here on the right, and I have my line down the middle. And in this particular set of data, I'm going to go ahead and put my tens digit for my data here, and these will be my ones digits. Let me explain what that means. The smallest number here is for Ivy. It's 8 minutes. And if I look at that, right, there's no tens placed there. So I'm going to go ahead and put a 0 here. But I have some in the 10s, the 20s. Nobody took, oh, some people took in the 30s. We have, I'll go ahead and put 40s, 50s, and I have to get all the way up to 60s because it took all over 60 minutes to get to school. So I'm going to go consistently from 0 all the way up to 6 to show that my lowest number has no tens and my highest is in the 60s. These are the stems, right? And now I'm going to put my leaves in on the other side, and I'm going to put them being mindful of the order. So I'm going to look and scan my list, and I see that Ivy has 0 tens and she has 8 ones, and that's the only person there. So I'm going to put an 8 right here. I have more students who are in the 10s. So I have Penny, Lily, Charlie, and Quinn. And Penny's is the shortest amount of time. So her ones place is another 1. Quinn's and Charlie's and Lily's are all, oh, and I have another one here with Finn, are all 15. So I'm going to put a 5 here. 1 5 would be Quinn. 1 5 would be Charlie. 1 5 would be Lily. And Finn down here, 1 9 would be Finn. So I'm compressing everything. These are all numbers that start with 1 as in 10 or teen, and I have them all listed more compactly. Looking for students in the 20s, I can see that I have Vivian and Stuart, and they're the only 2. Stuart's comes first. He has a 2 here in his ones place, and Vivian has a 5. So that represents Stuart and Vivian. For my 30s, I have Ryder and Nia, and Ryder has no number in his ones place. I'm going to put a 0 there, and Nia has a 5. So that represents 30 and 35. There was nobody who took anywhere in the 40s, so I'm going to leave that blank. No one took anywhere in the 50s, but Oliver here took 60 minutes. I'm going to put a 0 here to show that. And I'm going to make a little key here so people can understand and interpret what I wrote. So let me pull this. I'm going to do the 3 here and a 5 on the other side of this line. That means 35. It doesn't mean 350. It doesn't mean 3,500. In my particular key, that means 35, and so now I know how to read the rest. If I have a 1 on the left and a 9 on the right, it means 1 9 is 19. And the reason people use this is, 1, it saves space, right? I have all this data in a much smaller space now, but it's also a good way to see the shape of the distribution. by looking at this now, if I look right here, I can sort of tell that this is where most of the students are. So looking at that, it didn't take much effort. I was able to see where most of it was clustered. I can also use this to figure out the range. I know this is my highest point and this is my lowest point. And that 0 next to the 6 means 60. So that's my highest. The 8 is just 8, which means my range is 52. If I look for the mode, I just have to look for the combination of stem and leaf that I see the most often. So I see this 5 repeats the most, and that of course is attached to our 1, so that represents 15. That means our mode is 15. Very quick and easy for me to find the mode. Now the median is pretty easy to find as well, but it gets a little messy, so bear with me. I'm going to go ahead and mark off as I go until I find the middle value. So 8 was our shortest time, 60 was our highest, 11 was the next shortest, and 15 was the next highest, or excuse me, 35. 15 I'm going to pair with 30, 15 and 25, 15 and 22. This is our middle leaf. And of course that goes with our 1, so it represents 19. The median is 19. So I can work my way inward and find the median using my stem and leaf plot. So what's nice about this stem and leaf plot is that everything is organized once you have it all in there, and you can find all that information rather quickly. Or if someone's presenting it to you, you can read it with relative ease. For your turn, I have just a random data set. I don't have any background or story for it, but you're going to take these numbers and you're going to put them into the stem and leaf plot that I've started for you. I'm letting you know that a 1 for the stem and a 4 for the leaf means the number is 14. And then once you have it all set, use that to quickly find the median, mode, and range of our random data set. And that will give us a chance to practice that essential question, which was how to create and use a stem and leaf plot. So you'll create and you'll use this stem and leaf plot to answer some questions about the data. Be sure to have your notes ready for class and any questions that you might like to go over as we work on this more together.